The choice to do nothing is often worse than the pain of experiencing failure. With failure, at the very least, you're taking a chance on yourself, which is arguably the best skill that any of us could develop. You're putting yourself out there in hopes to accomplish something. It may come with some pain and some damage, but it also comes with some lessons. Lessons that you can take with you and grow into the person that you want to be. Now, doing nothing is so much easier, and it's the more common route that people take. It's so much easier to convince yourself that you only take calculated risk, but in reality, it's simply perfecting the art of talking yourself out of doing something for some reason or another. Analysis paralysis. It's the point where we overthink ourselves into this position where we do nothing. We don't act at all. I remember when I first heard this term in my early teens, it didn't really make much sense to me at the time. At that age, you really don't have to think about risk that much because there's not really that much that can go wrong. You're just a kid, so you don't have a lot going. Now, fast forward into my early 20s, and this became a problem that would hold me back for years. I would have these ideas time after time, and I'd be really excited about them. And then maybe a week would go by, and then I would convince myself of why they wouldn't work. Every single one of them. So I began to tell myself this narrative of I never have any good ideas. It became an endless cycle of I have an idea, I work through it, I decide why it won't work, and I move on. There were a few things that I wasn't taking into consideration. First, the term good idea is very subjective. And this way of thinking was a result of my limiting beliefs. And I was simply not acting on the idea and using the momentum that was coming into my life. See, the problem wasn't that I didn't receive any opportunities or any ideas. I mean, for a while, the universe was literally sending me idea after idea every other day. But it was me who found a reason for it not to work. My problem was that I didn't act on the ideas in the way that the universe works. What I mean here is that for ideas to become more realistic, more applicable, more refined, we need to be able to work around the resistance that we encounter every day of our life. It's when resistance comes into play where people start to find the reasons why something won't work and they eventually quit. The cycle is get the idea, experience resistance, overanalyze to the point where you just don't know what to do, you eventually don't act, and either just move on or just quit. Now, if that story makes sense to you and you find yourself struggling with analysis paralysis, here are 3 things that you can do to work through it. Number 1, give yourself a set amount of time to entertain the idea and take small steps of action with no resistance. When you're placed in a position where you have to make this major decision, whether it's a career change, a decision to move, or really any other major life-changing decision, give yourself a set amount of time to entertain it. Maybe it's a few days, maybe it's a week, or maybe it's a month. The timeline is really up to you. But when you do this, for the entire time frame that you set, try to entertain the idea with an open mind, a completely open mind. That means there is no resistance to why this is a bad idea. Depending on the situation, maybe you can take a few steps to get the idea rolling and see what happens when it materializes a little bit. Think about all the ways that it could succeed and how it could work out. Then visualize yourself in the position of making this decision a reality. What does it look like? Can you really see yourself following through? Or is it really just one of those things that just sounds great on the surface, but it doesn't fit your season of life or your current lifestyle? When the time is up, see if you still feel that same way about the idea. What we're trying to do here on this particular example is give yourself a longer time frame than usual to work through the idea and creatively think through the process. The second thing that you can do if you struggle with analysis paralysis is always look at your alternative options and ask yourself one simple question. This one is so helpful when I'm facing a tough decision, so hopefully it'll help you out. I always look at tough decisions like, if I follow through with this, then this is likely to happen. Or on the flip side, if I choose not to follow through, then this will happen. What I mean here is say someone presents you with a job offer. There are some obvious pros and cons and you've already listed them out so you don't miss anything. Now, if you take the job offer, maybe it pays more, but you're going to work more hours. But more importantly, you want to look at this one simple question. Is this in alignment with who I want to become? Is this move going to get you closer toward your overall goal, or is it just another opportunity that's more trouble than it's worth? Now, the third way that you can work through analysis paralysis is discuss it with the most open-minded person in your circle. If you get a clearer sense of understanding something by talking it out with someone, then this is a good option for you. For example, after you've done your due diligence, you've worked through your problem a little bit, and you've weighed the pros and cons. Now you'd like the opinion of someone else, someone that has a great track record of making great decisions, and someone that's very level-headed. They can bring refreshing points of view like enhancing the pros and cons, helping reveal the sacrifices that you will or that you might not have to make, and what this whole situation looks like in the long term. By talking with someone, it can really reveal some holes in your argument, or it can further solidify your stance. But just a word of caution, if you're someone that is easily swayed, this is not a good option. If you're looking for someone to tell you what to do, then this is not a good strategy for you. all this is going to do is further the pain that you experience every time you have to make a tough decision. And it's ultimately going to keep you in this cycle of analysis paralysis. So in the end, when the universe presents you with an idea or an opportunity, it's on us to creatively work through it, to just see what comes of it. Some things work out and some things don't. But if you have this intuition that something is a really good idea, or you just have a good feeling about it, then it's on us to explore it a little bit more. Before you fall into any analysis paralysis and before you dismiss any idea, remember this. The thing about ideas is that they're rarely polished or even thought through when they come into our life. Think about the company Amazon. When Amazon was first created, it was a book website. Over time, this idea has morphed into this fully fledged, buy virtually anything you want website. The intent wasn't to always flourish into this super company, but instead of falling into the trap of resistance, instead of just dismissing the idea, Jeff Bezos found a way to work through the resistance and find opportunities to advance the company. Look, you don't have to have it all figured out when making a decision. Life is all about experiencing success and failures, but most importantly, taking a chance on yourself. If you enjoyed this one, hit that like button for me and don't forget to share it with a friend. If you like this content and you want more of it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me and I'll bring you all the content on building a high performance mindset and lifestyle development. Thanks for watching.